know what? Fucking, there's so many interesting analogs that we could touch on. There's so many interesting analogs we could touch on for this conversation in other media. Like, I think, especially considering that the industry now, the gaming industry that is taking a lot of its cues from the recent history of like film, you know, and film distribution, like with Netflix and streaming and all that shit.
Yeah, it's
like,
sort of like following closely behind.
Yeah, that's right. And it's funny because for movies, you know, we never did see this kind of like compromise of the product. At least, okay, let's be fucking more specific, I guess.
Not because of those reasons, right?
Perhaps though, like, you know, like in Netflix, let's say, like they offer all kinds of fucking garbage to stream, but you know what they're good at, in my opinion, is producing
Making
some pretty solid
good,
like content, with
AAA
that cash.
content. Yeah,
and it's a nice cycle, right? Like they use that fucking money from garbage back when they didn't have anything to make some good shit, which brings in more people who keep on watching, who spend more money, and it's great. Everybody's
if you think
well
about
served,
it,
right?
the way they got their foot in the door, just probably putting out whatever movies and TV shows they could at the time, right? But as they grew, like you said, they started pumping out really good shit. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, you get a blunder here and there, but like it hasn't stopped them. They're still pretty focused on releasing good quality shit. And then of course there's all the other garbage that comes along with it. But
that's right. I wish the industry would take a cue from them in that respect, instead of in just trying to emulate their raw distribution model, which, you know, it's not even just my opinion, it's just not suited to distributing games.
No, not
right?
for
like,
games, or at least not for like newly released titles right off the bat, right?
That distributing. We've
mentioned that even just last week. I
think Zelnick said that. Fucking without risk of compromising the quality of the release, it's probably beneficial to, you know, use
it's okay to be like a background fucking farm after where you can dive into old ass games, sort of keep them alive that way, but for your
it's not proportional to
premium
the work
product,
the
right?
Cost of the fucking thing, right? It's not suitable to it. It will lead inevitably to a compromise, you know?
Exactly.
I guess that's something that
interesting
we've been thinking about and talking about, Alex and I, for the past few days, that we'd like to bring to you guys. Here we are once again at Gaming Out of the Influence. I'm Mike, and this is Alex.
Fuck yeah.
Here to talk again about fucking video games. This time about what I'd like to call from now on the video game business problem. Not the problem of working in the video game business in whatever, you know, in whatever capacity you do, but instead the problem in relation to business that modern AAA video games have. And a guy called Ian Bogost, I mentioned in the past, he wrote a great book about video game criticism called Unit Operations. And he says in there that like video games inherited this like mass market culture, you know? It's just an inevitable consequence now that we have inherited from the material situations that gave birth to the medium in the first place. They've always been associated with that. That's how they've been funded and distributed since their inception, you know?
Right.
So there's this, you know, tenuous relationship.
Like movies and...
movies certainly, but movies had perhaps more of like an auteur-driven history. You know, there was a period where they weren't so commercialized, I guess you could say. And while video games were developed in people's basements and shit, video games really became what we understand them as now when they did break into pop culture, right?
Okay,
they were pretty much just toys before that. You know, little
it was like its own thing. Whereas
it was just the matter of the thing. It was like somebody mixing paint instead of making a picture, I would say, right?
Okay.
Whereas when games became games as we understand them, there was probably the involvement of big business. So it creates a tension, right? It creates a tension, an obvious tension between the good of the work to be made, the good of the game. You know, some guy saying, "I love this fucking thing and I want to make it this way." Yep. There's that motivation for making it. But then there's the material condition that somebody has to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has to give you the army of people required to make it.
Right.
It has to make money to justify the guy doing that in the first place. So you have this tension, right, between the good of the work and the business. This is the business problem. The video games have as a material condition to the very fact of their existence depends on their cooperation with business interests, which often seek to compromise the good of the video game, right? So what the fuck's the solution, you know?
That's fair.
People have proposed many solutions, like Phil Spencer in an article that we touch on in the article I wrote about this very subject on our website today. You know, he talks about monetization dexterity. It's a cool concept, I think, and I think it's one that we're going to resort to soon.
Yeah.
But before we touch on our solution, other people, you know, what they've done, and which I don't think is a good idea, is they allow the profit making, the material precondition of the game, to determine its form, to determine what it is. You know, it's as though you went to a guy to make you a guitar, and then when you're going to play a song, you ask him what it should sound like, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. That guy's job is merely to secure the most basic precondition of your work. It's not to make it or generate it or determine its contents, right? So I'd argue to you when, for example, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like its progression is compromised to force people to buy like buy fucking EXP boosters or whatever kind of nefarious shit you have to just make it essentially how it should have been in the first place. Like, this is when the internal logic of the thing is compromised for the sake of profit. You know, this is one of my favorite writers. He says the person who does this to his work is a fucking prostitute and an Iscariot, you know, and like Judas Iscariot, like a traitor to his work, right? Like, It's not good, man. You shouldn't do that. Like, it's morally bad in the sense that it's a crime against your fucking art. If you have any self-respect or respect for your work, you shouldn't do that.
you probably
and on top of that,
at that point.
people who buy that shit, like, they'll notice, man. You know, at the end of the day, I really don't accept the thesis that kind of shit is beneficial for anybody, least of all the businesses. Because even in the short term, in the quarters that people actually measure their profit by, it shows a bit of a bump. Like, in the long term, I don't really believe that it works that way. Like, we talked about this before, too. You can infinitely monetize a good product. You can sell it on every game library in the world. You can republish it later on new consoles.
Yeah.
What you can't do is fucking keep making money off a piece of shit after people realize it is, right?
Beating
like,
a dead horse. Like, look at Anthem, how it got treated.
So I really don't think that that's the way forward, to compromise a work. To say, yeah, well, we need to make more money, or people who are giving us this money need to make money, so therefore we need to fuck our shit up
Separate
to ensure it, right? Like, yeah, so the way forward, I guess, is to fucking achieve some sort of synthesis between the business conditions, which are, you know, a necessary element of making a game,
of course,
and the fucking art, which is what the game should properly consist in, right? And I think, like, you know, a good analogy is the same way that the human body fucking, or not even the human body, like lower cellular organisms absorb like non-living nutriments, and then fucking vegetable life absorbs the cellular life, and animal life consumes the vegetable life, on and on, right? The idea being that the lower ought to be subject to the higher. It's the order of nature, and it's good, right? You know, there's nothing wrong even with there being lower things. Like, there's nothing wrong with cells. Fuck you, cell. I'm an animal. Like, that doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
It doesn't make sense to say, well, this thing that somebody made for profit is bad because it's made for profit. It's bad, though, if you try to make an animal into a cell, certainly to compromise its function so that it's as simple as a cell, to debase it into the form of a cell. But it's not wrong to say, fuck, the animal needs the involvement of cells in its own life to function, right? A good thing would be to make, you know, I would say fucking shitty money farm games, like, keep making them. Sure, they're not bad in themselves.
So like games as a service type, never ending,
like Fortnite's of the world, you know, we just stick with that as our
microtransactions, monetization, skins,
make
bullshit,
it, man, go nuts, make it
something.
It's like a hammer, right?
Socially,
it doesn't exist to be beautiful, it exists to accomplish a goal.
Yeah, it's a tool. Money. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and if you set up to do that,
this point home,
that's fine. Like, that doesn't offend me.
Yeah,
you know, that's not
even though
compromising
I fucking hate Fortnite.
Yeah, I do. No, it offends me in other means, but like, this act of making a tool is not a bad thing, right?
Right.
That's fine. Like, that's not the same as compromising the internal logic of your otherwise good game into a piece of shit,
and then use the money made from that product to fund a nice independent,
that's right.
Like,
and then what you do with that cash, like Activision did this year with Sekiro, or EA with Fallen Order, is make a proper game, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you're telling me, like, again, I don't necessarily accept it as true, but if the argument is that the cost of making games is rising and normal fucking games don't make as much money as these fucking shitty game farms, money farm games, well, then fine, make some money farms. And then use that money to make some
a nice
games.
game. Yeah.
You retain your integrity. You still make the not inconsiderable profit off of your proper games. We get to play good games. People who like shit games get to play those, and everybody's happy. What's the problem?
Think, though,
you know?
the only problem with, and like I agree with that as a solution. We've seen it this year, but we also saw that EA coming out and saying shit like, well, Jedi Fallen Order blew our expectations away in sales, and then games like The Division 2 and Ghost Recon Anthem that totally fucking entirely. So maybe those money farms aren't even
I'm very skeptical that is the case. At the end of the day, I'm with what's his name there from CD Projekt Red, who said, like, man, to make money you make a good product. That's a beautiful thing. It's captivating by its very nature. You don't have to trick people and think up crazy algorithms to suggest things for them to buy. Like, that's But if you're making a piece of shit,
data to see what you guys want.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, like, whatever the case may be for the fucking, from the business side of, like, the argument as to whether or not good games are more profitable than shit ones, I guess we can leave that aside and just say, like, if both are going to exist in the world, there's nothing wrong with that unless you compromise the better for the sake of the worse, you know? Otherwise, you could help the better with the worse. That could be like the cellular fucking life that is eventually subsumed into the human form, which is its
ultimately
better, right?
Like, the funding to make those
could
games,
be the guy making the instrument, so later on somebody can play a sick song with it, you know?
Like Nintendo making a shit ton of money on these stupid mobile games that I haven't even tried, and then turning that into a console. That's right. You know, now, games for their premium consoles.
And they make they publish Octopath with that money, let's say. Now, you see a lot of shit on YouTubes amongst the fucking clucking cuckoo fucking morons on there. My God, it's repugnant turning on the YouTube, buddy.
Bad nowadays,
like just a mewling fucking pen of millions of. Anyways,
take it down a notch.
Yeah, it's terrible. But one thing you encounter a lot is like people react to like monetization like it's an actual moral
evil.
It's
an attack on them. Think of
the chronic gamblers. Like, what are you talking about? Is that a joke? I have a child. You think I'm fucking worried about him being preyed upon by EA's monetization, if that's actually your concern, somebody should beat the shit out of you.
You're
Like,
not doing good
give me a
parenting there.
break.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
If that's what you're
it's
worried
not
about.
morally evil for EA to monetize their fucking terrible games.
No,
those games were made to make profit.
Yeah.
Look at Battlefront 2. Are you telling me that was
and
ever
we're
gonna be
not
good?
advocating this shit. It's not like we like it. You know, we just talking
Sure,
about
I
how
don't like it. I don't
we
like
don't
it,
like it, but
I don't like taking a shit either. It's a fact
Like,
of life.
yeah.
Like, again, like there are just some things that have to happen in the world, you know?
yeah, I got you.
No, man, it's necessary. Like, that's just the way it is. I don't like it, but there are many things that I don't like. Like, you know, having to walk down the street when I need to. I wish I could just snap my fingers and be somewhere. I don't like it, but like, what? You got to do it, you know?
Yeah.
We don't have to celebrate unnecessary facts of life, but it doesn't make sense to hate them. That's irrational, you know? I don't know
At the
what
end of the
people
day,
would
it's,
advocate.
they're selling a product. You don't like it, you don't buy it. We say the same thing when, you know, somebody bitches about a game in some way or says, you know, this offends me. It's like, well, if you don't like it, just stay the fuck away from it, like anything
Truly.
else.
Which, again, like if you want a real game, why would you go to that anyways? Are you confused?
Yeah.
Is something wrong with your head? If you've been around this industry probably as long as me. If
Yeah,
you're involved in this
you're not
conversation,
playing
right?
Fortnite
Like,
to appreciate some real fucking
no,
beauty.
man, it's
in
not a
there.
novel style
Yeah,
experience.
they're gonna
It's a
sell you
fucking-
shit because
it's like watching
that's
Two
what
and a
it
Half
is.
Men. It's diversionary.
Yeah,
Fine. There is
yeah.
a place for that. You know, when
Yeah.
you're in a taxi, when you're on the airplane, when you're 14, there's a place for that in the world. Okay. But don't tell me that everything has to be that way.
Yeah.
Nor that just the fact of that existing is somehow bad. Like, it's stupid, maybe.
Yeah,
but it's
definitely
not-
stupid.
It's not
a lot
evil.
of things
like,
are stupid. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not an attack on you
Monetize all you want,
personally.
like-
Like, it's not.
you know, yeah.
Keep that out of my games. Like, yeah, I agree, but like, it's not gonna happen. So shut up and fucking deal with it.
Play real games. Cheers. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Yeah, play better games. Fuck. What a thought. Like
And
Death
we were just
Stranding.
talking about this year's Call of Duty. I think this is a great product
Right.
that internally employs the reasoning we're talking about right now. Because this year's Call of Duty had a fucking pretty engrossing, like, high production value,
Oh yeah.
super
Oh,
badass
yeah.
campaign. I thought I fucking loved it.
It was good. Like it was
For what
short,
it was, I
but
thought
you
it
know
was
what?
sick. It was like it was almost 10 hours. I don't fucking.
Not even.
How long are you gonna play this thing
That's
for?
true though.
You want to
That's
play
the
longer?
thing too. By the time
I'm
it was
done, buddy.
over, I was happy
a cool
and
story. It was
satisfied,
sick,
and I was
yeah.
like, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That's right. And I'm not a fan of the multiplayer component of Call of Duty. I think it very much qualifies as a for-profit product. You know, when I say for-profit, obviously everything is made for profit. But I mean,
Right, but you
this game,
mean
the intention behind its creation
specifically
is profit-making
to
instead of beauty. Yeah.
Literally farm money by having
Yes.
people play multiplayer and purchase, you know, microtransaction skins, fucking XP tokens, whatever the fuck they sell. It's
that's right.
Exactly like we're describing it, a
Yeah.
money farm. Like,
Exactly. But
you
just
know,
like with Red Dead
they pay
Online
to
or
have the
GTA
servers
Online,
up,
right?
and yeah.
Like, if that makes it possible for you to play this other part, like, how is it even a bad thing? I guess I'm asking you. Like, why
Oh,
should
okay,
I
that's
care?
fair.
Like,
Yeah.
what's the problem with that? Doesn't it make a little bit of sense? Isn't it better than fucking up the main part?
Yeah, see, I think
You know?
a worse offender I would classify would be like Assassin's Creed Odyssey because,
too,
like
yeah.
you said, you're literally fucking up the good part, like the campaign portion of a game, the part that shouldn't be fucked with. Whereas, like you're saying, Call of Duty
It's a kettle
seems
that's
to have
black.
it.
I mean, like,
it seems
okay.
to have it split,
Yeah.
right? Where you have your campaign,
Yeah.
even though it's short, but it was good.
I thought
Like
it was sick,
whatever,
yeah.
it was fine.
What should it
And
be?
then-
Like, how long is it gonna be?
that's-
40 hours?
It
Like,
can't
open
be
world?
like
Like-
fucking Dragon Quest right now that I'm slogging
Yeah,
through,
that's
but
right, yeah.
enjoying it. But and then yeah, you have the multiplayer. That's literally the money farm. They're gonna focus most of the development towards that after a certain point, and just keep that alive, right? Keep people playing and fucking
Cool,
whatever.
man. Honestly,
And
I don't think
great.
there's anything wrong with
I
that
like
model.
multiplayer shooters for the quick little, you know, pick up, fix, whatever. I just like shooting stuff.
But again, what's wrong with that?
yeah, no, I
that's
know
fine.
you're not a fan, but like
Like,
yeah.
that's a different question.
But that's the thing,
To
you
say
understand what it is.
It doesn't
Like,
appeal
I'm-
to me aesthetically is different than saying it's a bad thing in the world.
right. Yeah.
Like, maybe it, you know, it's not. What does it mean even to say this is not?
I mean,
art?
to be fair, I
You know,
wouldn't
like,
even. I don't even like the Call of Duty multiplayer, but people do, and it exists for a reason. And if as long as the last one, Black Ops 4 or whatever the fuck, didn't come with a campaign, I would never fucking purchase that one.
But I mean, I
because
heard it
it's
was
all-
like that year was a good fucking online. If you like that kind of game, what's
you
wrong
like
with that?
online,
What-
yeah,
what-
I guess.
What should I be offended about in that product? You know,
I
like,
don't know. Maybe if people who really like the multiplayer want them to not have that shit, but it's pretty clear that that's not gonna go away. That's something they either
Yeah.
need to
I
do
think
or they just won't bother
this
if
year's
they
was
don't
well
have
received.
it.
This year's COD by like
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much all parties, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody liked it.
Yeah.
Even people who don't like it were
And
like,
people don't like Call of Duty thought it
yeah,
was,
we're like, it's pretty sick.
That's
so
fair.
this was a good way forward for them, and I
Yeah.
think it made them some money. You know,
Definitely.
I don't think it cost them more than making them before. Maybe not drastically. And
Maybe
like,
a little bit more, but maybe because of like upgrades to the engine and shit like that. But that's
just to say,
inconsequential.
it sounded like
that
we heard about
yeah,
this that they're losing money on this product. Maybe they're making
Yeah.
more than last year. So
fair. Yeah,
I think like both within a game, like Red Dead or COD, most recently, or in the whole industry by and large, within a publisher, let's say, like within a publisher like Activision or EA, like, man, doesn't it make perfect sense? Like, you know that people fucking buy. You made it to where you are making good shit. Why now do you think it's better for you to start making garbage? If you need to make garbage for money,
profits go up. But
well, fine, but then make that.
But now we're.
You know what I mean?
Now we're hitting. At the end of 2019 was where we were starting to see that sort of backfire on them. So that's where things get interesting, right?
Like, honestly, you could even go so far as to say, like, there's some tragedy in this concept, but, like, it still wouldn't be as bad. Like, there's some tragedy in, let's say, taking fucking some beautiful thing, like some beloved thing. Imagine if they made, like, a Death Stranding pachinko machine or a Silent Hill pachinko machine. Like,
well, they already have Metal Gear Solid.
Sure,
one,
there you go.
So.
Yeah. Like, it's tragic. This is, it's tragic. It's,
this was
the prostitution of
a beautiful thing that is now.
But at the same time, like, this is like if somebody painted your picture somewhere and took a shit on it. Like, who cares? It's not the best thing. It's slightly insulting to you, but like, it doesn't.
It sucks as a fan. Like when I saw pachinko machines with Metal Gear Solid, you're like kind of like, why that? They even like up the visuals. You feel like as a Metal Gear Solid fan, you feel like what the fuck? You could make that into a cool game. But at the same time, no, I'm not personally.
But it's something.
Offended.
It's somebody effacing your image.
Yeah.
It's that's what it is, right? It's an effacement of the representation of the thing. The thing itself is unaffected, right? So like,
no,
even
it doesn't make Metal Gear Solid games shit anymore. They're still fucking amazing. The ones that came out, right?
So like, I guess I'm trying to say,
again, as a fan, I'm not personally hurt or offended. It just sucks, right? Whatever.
The only reason it sucks is. I would say poetically, you know what I mean? Like the representation of something good is being effaced. That's like it's like burning. An American might be pissed the flag is burned. A Christian at an inverted crucifix, like a similar kind of thing. You know what I mean? But it doesn't make sense to say that somehow the thing itself
is now compromised. No, going forward it may be compromised, but
the integrity of the brand, maybe. Yeah. But just to say though, like even before a company goes so far as to take its ACO and fuck it all up inside, like dude, I played like a few minutes of that game and
Assassin's
I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, this fucking action RPG where like no matter how good you are, you can't fight a guy a level higher than you. Like
but that's exactly like the worst case offender of fucking with your art or your game.
Yeah. But before you do that, why not just make a mobile game? An AC mobile game
instead,
which
they probably are anyway.
Which they do, sure.
Yeah, like see that's fucked. I've heard from I don't remember who or whatever that if you're gonna play that game, it's best to just buy the XP boost thing, which is like a couple bucks or whatever the fuck it was when it came out, and then apparently the game is better at that point, which is kind of like what the fuck? Like that's a bitch.
Although
right?
like my wife, she played it. She loves these kind of games though, mind you. She doesn't mind fucking spending 80 hours fucking doing this and that, but like,
okay, fair enough.
She didn't even finish
honestly
it,
Leanna likes Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah,
she loves those games.
I played a few of them, and not to say I don't like them. I like them, but I don't want you to. I even like the Ubisoft open world formula.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of.
It was
Far
okay
Cry.
At a certain point.
I'm definitely not a hater of Far Cry or that kind of game.
Yeah,
like I'm not one of those guys like, oh, they're all the same. Like I don't give a fuck. The universe is what specifies it to me. Like I'm not a Ludo narrative, or I'm not a Ludo formalist, I'm not sitting there like, well, you have to modify the mechanics such that I don't really know where you could go with that, but like, I like that formula, and ACO is bad because that formula is janked up by it.
Fucked up.
Put this level mechanic on top of it and stuff. It doesn't need that, buddy. It doesn't need no RPG
it worked
mechanics.
well the way it was.
Yeah, it was great.
But like Assassin's Creed 2 is in one of my like top fucking 10 games.
If they just put the combat from these games onto everything else from those, it would be amazing. The combat was definitely an improvement, but like when you junk it all up with the way the damage.
Oh, you're saying if they had the combat of Assassin's Creed Odyssey in more like the old style formula of the other games, it would be so much. Didn't they originally start fucking with the formula a little bit in that first one there, Origins? Yeah. And then Odyssey was like a step.
They still had a lot of grinding and shit. And
Okay.
They probably had level boost too. I'm not even sure. But the sad thing is, man, like I really like the concept behind those games, in spite of all the political bullshit, in spite of what we're talking about right now.
That's Ubisoft's fault, though.
I know. But I really want to see those games, right? Yeah, there's probably so much cool shit in there.
Oh,
in spite of the asset, in spite of all the bad stuff.
Whatever.
Like, there's probably so much cool
you
shit
can
in
look
there,
past some of the bad things,
but I can't look past playing
that.
And fucking you can't. That's one of the greatest things in playing games like that is when you find a guy and you're not supposed to kill him, but you're like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck this guy up.
Yeah, right. It's like one of those things in FromSoft's games where like you have that opening boss every time, and you're not supposed to win, but eventually people beat it, right, and are able to going forward. They'll start a new game and slay the fucking thing,
and you can buy damage boosts and stuff like that too. Like I don't like that, man. It trivializes the whole thing,
Yeah.
Those should be set by the developer, like in stone, pretty much,
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of unrelated, but I booted up Dark Souls the other day.
One,
yeah. And Sekiro's a lot faster, right? So going back to that, I felt like I was parrying like perfectly, and it was like no problem, like right. It's still hard, but not quite. Like I don't know, man. Like Sekiro I find really difficult with all that.
I still have to beat the last guy.
Yeah.
I love it so much, but it's a labor of love.
It is, yeah. It's tough, man. I'm fucking like, I don't know, something stupid like 30 hours in, or maybe even more. And I don't know. I think I'm like halfway through it. It's fucking brutal. Screw it. I'm just gonna focus on Dragon Quest going forward. I've been dumping some time into that, and that's been really interesting. At the part I'm like, it's an old game, so if you really care, then we're gonna talk about spoilers. But
yeah, let's do it.
I'm at the halfway mark where basically you get to like that tree of life thing, and then I don't even remember if I talked about this last week or not. But what happens? You bring the orbs, and then the fucking, I don't remember the names. The like evil guy appears and fucks everything up and basically unleashes hell on fucking
Mordegon there?
Yeah. So you wake up as each individual party member starting from, I think the first one was Sylvando, and everybody gets separated, assuming, because you don't really know, right? You wake up as Sylvando by yourself, and you sort of try to figure out and go through like a little story segment with like a little boss, and then same thing happens. You wake up as what's her name, Jade, and you do like her little story part with like a little boss. It's actually really interesting shit. Like I'm making it sound stupid, but I'm assuming you go through every party member and until they meet at some point, and then I'm at Eric's now, which is the third. So, and they've been cool so far. Like Sylvando's was okay. I was kind of like, what the hell is he doing? You're running around that like Venice looking city, Gondolia or whatever it's called.
Trying to do some shit with his dad, probably, right?
It was I can't really remember, to be honest. But then Jade's was really cool because hers you go to the Octagonia, which is like the MMA city there with the little like the arena, and you have to fight one of the demons, but he throws you through a portal, makes you wear a bunny suit, which is funny. I sent you that picture yesterday. And then there's like a boss you fight, and I can't remember what happens, but you eventually go to Eric. Anyways, what I'm getting at is the part I'm at is cool, and I'm enjoying it. So it's pretty sick. Like it's hard to recall it
sick.
After the beers and the.
I feel you. You know what? Have you ever read? That's a stupid question.
Yeah. I haven't.
No, it's not. No, not because of that. Because I don't even like. It's not something that I can ask you if you read actually. But fucking, there's this thing that Tolkien says about this concept of eudaimonia. You know what that is?
No.
In Lord of the Rings or there's all these scenes where fucking there's this like peril like that seems inescapable, and like creatures like by their own causality like they're fucked. That's it. It's the end. It's you're donezo. But then there's like this fucking turn of the story, like the intervention of some fucking beam of light, sort of, so to speak, from outside the understood equation, like rather outside like the causes before you, right? There's another cause that can participate in this fucking shit and make it all better, right? Like make it all into some awesomeness, you actually just kind of brought back what I was talking about with you're at that
Jade.
part now. You're at the
she actually gets killed by the boss you're fighting, and then she just fucking resurrects. Like there's something there, right? Like a force pushing her through this, and she like fucking that game is all about that. Then. Oh, it's so cool, man.
The funny thing with Japanese shit too is that, like, probably talked about this a little bit before too, but the way that they view like the world and like metaphysics and God and shit like that is
totally different.
I think it's like antiquated compared to us now, like in the sense that it's like what a Westerner would have thought a little while ago,
Yeah, like we
think that we're better than that worldview now, right? Like we think that being a realist about things and even like the optimism of that game is like totally not Western. Your grandfather's like, remember, don't hold grudges in your heart. Like everybody's happy and like there's this outlook on things, this metaphysics, this perception of the world, and
it is definitely like you can just feel it, like just playing
that
it.
Good will triumph over evil, and that there is good.
It's so different than anything you'll experience in the West here. That's why we like those games. That's why we play them.
Final
right?
Fantasy 15 was like that too, I think, and it's like concept and theme. Yeah. It was like a medieval worldview through like modern Japanese eyes, I would say.
It's fucking weird, but you're right. Yeah, it really does feel that way.
It's amazing to me. It's obviously something I sympathize with. Good shit, man. Yeah, I love Dragon Quest. I really want to go back into it actually because the end game is like substantial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
After you beat Mordegon. Do you want to know what happened? Like roughly, like what the end game is? It's not even really spoilers anymore. The end game is like roughly about how like Veronica's dead still.
Yeah.
And like you get her back somehow, but like the main plot is about how like I think during the main game Rab mentions like, remember that comet is coming down to crush the city and you have to help the prince and stuff like that. And He's like looking at the comet and it says like Kalasmos on it, like the name of somebody, and they don't really return to that idea at all.
Yeah.
But like it turns out that Mordegon is just like an aspect or like an agent of like the real fucking bad guy who is like not only the bad guy in this game but like behind, because every Dragon Quest game there's like a luminary type character and he goes and fights.
Right.
Yeah. There's like the cyclical history, but like you go to fight like the first cause of the bad guys, you know?
The fucking
and you see it like connects to all the other Dragon Quest games ever.
No way.
And there's like this epic. I saw
it's cool. I've been like looking up the other ones today because I haven't played any other Dragon Quest games other than 11 on the Switch now. But I see that they have like 8 on the 3DS. Yeah. They have 7 on the 3DS. Yeah. They have 9 on the DS, which doesn't make sense to me. How did that happen?
9. Yeah, it was like it didn't look like. It looks like really pixelated and old, like an old school game.
Well, it's on the DS, not the 3DS.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So how the fuck did that happen?
I don't know.
How did they release 9 on the DS?
I really don't know the history of those games because
that's the thing, right? I'm getting into this for the first time too.
I think 9 may have been a mobile game to start with, like not like a DS game or something like that. You know what I mean? Because it looks like 8 and 7 are like PS2 ports.
But 8 and 7, yeah, they were on the PS2, weren't they?
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, they're ports. Yeah.
Oh, so then 9 would have been
probably a DS game that came out in that period, right?
Yeah, so if 8
I'm not
and
sure
7,
about this, by the way, but I'm guessing at the way that it looks
we're speculating, but 8 and 7 we know released on the PS2, so them being on the 3DS are obviously like remade afterwards because obvious reasons, and then 9 would have been on the DS because it's probably a port from what you're saying would have been
maybe it just
a mobile
came out
game
on DS.
or maybe it just came out on DS.
Put it out on DS, right?
Huh? Yeah,
it's probably just a DS game. That was the age when a lot of cool DS games came out.
Yeah, there was a ton of stuff on the DS.
There was this cool alien game. It was like a Metroidvania.
Yeah?
It was really hard and amazing. Oh, fuck. I can't remember what it's called. Alien, no, I don't. I have it at home. I'll check it out.
We'll find out.
It's really good. I was just looking at my DS games.
Yeah, you know what?
You inspired me to play DS.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did, didn't I? Because I've been playing Pokemon X on my 3DS lately. And I feel like this always happens, though, to me. Like, we're like 3 years into the Switch life cycle, and then I look back at my 3DS, I'm like, there's still a ton of shit on here. Like,
dude, did you ever play Metroid really Samus Returns?
I did, yeah, and I actually really like it.
You
but
beat it, or?
No, I didn't beat it. It's... I don't know if that game has, like, lasting power for me specifically, but it is good. It's a pretty sick game. What was that, a remake of 2, I think?
Which?
Fucking the Samus Returns on the 3DS.
No, it was an original game by the guys who Mercury Stream.
I think it was like loosely a remake of 2, though.
Yeah, I don't think it was like a totally.
It wasn't faithful. Like it was.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't like a port or anything. I guess.
No, yeah.
But it was by Mercury Steam, the Spanish developer that did Castlevania: Lords of Shadow.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that. Yeah.
That's why it's cool.
Oh, it's definitely a cool game.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't think I could beat that. I don't think I'll get through it, but I played in...
That needs to be ported to Switch immediately. Like
that would be a good contender for the Switch, yes.
Dude, they should port everything. I'd buy everything.
Yeah, I would buy it all.
Every game I've ever bought.
Because like I'm struggling now looking through like for old 3DS games thinking like, oh, it's at the way end of its life cycle. They'll be cheap, right? But they're not. They're already expensive because they're hard to find already. Like what the fuck? Dragon Quest.
Seems like things are cheap for like a year. You know, when there's too many of them at Walmart.
Yeah, then they go on sale a little bit and then forget it. Like they're expensive.
And then they're gone. And they're expensive again.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. What do you think? Anything else you want to mention?
The fuck else is going on? I feel like we don't talk enough about next gen, but like everything is all speculation. Like there is nothing to say. I mean, Xbox is doing their thing, just rambling their mouth on with their buddy Philbot over there saying, like, I can't fucking believe. I feel like I have to mention this.
Please do.
And people are actually talking about it. That thing I showed you. What the fuck was the stupid term? It was like smart fucking download or something.
Yeah.
Some dumb.
Yeah.
What was it?
It sounded to me like they were just saying when you buy a game
digitally
that is backwards, when you buy a digital game,
yes,
you could play it on your old systems, which is just to say it's backwards compatible, isn't it?
Yeah, like
I don't understand, but whatever.
What the fuck was it called?
I just finished saying that I would rebuy every game on everything.
I know, right? Like this is fucking hilarious.
Literally means nothing to me.
Like smart delivery. Okay. what is Xbox Smart Delivery? Like, look how fucking stupid
me,
this is.
Alex.
And people
Tell
are
us.
fucking eating it up. Like, it's
Well, what is
like,
it?
not to
Maybe-
sound like a grumpy bastard, but
I love grumpy
it
bastards,
relates
but what
to
is
game
it?
ownership. Only in the sense that you don't own the game, if that's
But
the
what
case,
does that
because
mean?
it's. Sorry,
What
I'm
does it
just
do?
reading
Like, what
off
does it
here.
do?
Smart delivery, you'll always have access to the best version of the game, no matter which hardware you're playing it on. So if you buy Halo Infinite on Xbox One, then later play it on the Xbox Series X, your one-time purchase gets you versions of the game optimized for both console. So essentially, that is backwards and forwards compatibility that they've talked about. And all they're saying is, if which is probably going to happen, let's say they add a higher graphics spec for the new console, which why the fuck wouldn't they? Because I'm pretty sure they still want to sell these things. They made the fucking thing. I'm pretty sure they want it to be bought and not sit on store shelves. They're going to optimize their first-party titles for that console, right? So all they're saying essentially is that you'll get that. Which is already assuming that you bought the console, you're going to play that game for that console. It's going to be made and spec'd to run on that I don't know, man.
you
Maybe
feel,
I'm
though,
being
that-
a fucking asshole or
I don't think
an
you are,
idiot.
but I think you just have to tease out the fact that, like, it's not like this is just like in a vacuum. You're just describing a neutral fact. Like, okay, that's
what I mean.
that's okay, fine. But like, I think like in keeping with what we've been saying about Microsoft in previous weeks, the problem with this is that in lieu of offering proper games, the likes of which we described, the likes of which business should support and not
All
the other way
the
around,
First-party titles from
Yeah.
Sony and Nintendo.
they offer conveniences and services,
Right.
but don't really publish games or subvert the publishing of games to produce, well, let's not even get into it, right? So I guess that's where what you're mentioning, you know, like it falls in the context of all this shit, right? Like it's not, yeah, sure, fine. That sounds like a great fucking feature, whatever. But the point is that it's being marketed as some sort of like fucking substitute
Yeah.
in lieu of fucking what, like a proper game for the console, you know?
I don't know,
I think
like,
it is. Like that's what's being said. Like when I hear people
Maybe.
talk about the Xbox, they talk all the time about how much cheaper it'll make my gaming habit. You know, how much
Yeah,
easier it'll make me to
Games
play
Pass,
games.
yeah.
How many more games I'll be able to play for the same price. But here's the thing.
Like, I
don't
want
give
less
a fuck,
games. I just
man.
want better ones.
Mass market consumption is not the only mode of consumption. It's
Right.
so fucking simple and obvious.
And
it
if that's
doesn't
your
even need
thing,
to be
fine,
said.
fair, but
That's your thing,
it's
fine.
not.
You're fucking, what is this guy that we talked about the other day?
I
sent
don't
you
want
the
to
picture
cut
of his
this,
book
so
there.
don't say anything.
I won't. He said it's like, it's below even, it's not even worthy of contempt. It's below contempt. It's like a baboon thrashing about and shitting on its apartment floor. You know,
Right.
like, do you, buddy. That's fine. But like, man, when it gets to the point that, you know, it's a company that has not inconsiderable influence on the kind of games we're probably going to be playing for the rest of our life, it becomes troublesome when, you know, the trends that they're trying to encourage are contrary to what I would like to see in
Superficial
video
and fucking
games. Yeah.
stupid,
They're contrary
like
to beauty.
telling you that
They're
you
just
don't have to buy a
hyper-bourgeois, like,
game on the next system because I don't know.
I mean, like, I don't care about that. That has to do with purchasing, not with good games. So
right.
fine, you know. I don't
It's
care
just
about
funny
at all.
that they're taking like we already knew that the new consoles would be backwards compatible, and now they're just saying, oh, by the way, if we update it for the next system, which you obviously are gonna fucking do, you're like, why wouldn't you? It's like Sony coming out with The Last of Us on PS4, like porting it up, right? Why the fuck wouldn't they? And then on top of that, they sold it again because there is no backwards
Man.
compatibility. You have to buy it again on the PS4.
don't like this
All they're
approach,
saying
man.
is that they're gonna do that, which, whatever, okay.
Don't you think it's
And
like there's
then-
no dignity in this? This is like some child groveling for allowance money. You know, like, like look what I have, mom. Like,
Yeah.
look what I did. Like, buddy, you know what Sony's done in this time period? Not that I fucking even like
Put their
am
heads down
interested.
and worked, probably.
They put out that weird ass commercial with those dudes and the
Yeah.
hearts and shit,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed that a lot more. And
Yeah.
I cared more than I ever will
Yeah.
about whatever the fuck you're blabbering about. This fucking
It's true, man.
convenience factor.
Microsoft, they
What's
talk
cheaper?
the talk, man. They
Oh,
fucking,
God.
they're good at just talking the
Vomitory.
talk.
It's probably
Just
some stupid
blah,
asshole
blah,
getting
blah.
paid a lot of money somewhere to tell us all this stuff, but I'd rather not hear it. Again, we live in a world where there's different kinds of things. There's mass market products and there's fucking other kinds. And the other kinds, like,
Are far better than the
They're better,
mass
like-
market. But it's always been that way. Like, even in other industries, I always say this. Like, mass marketed music,
Cars.
and movies. And yeah, they're always the shittiest and the lowest, you know, version of whatever product you're selling, right? It just
gets to appeal to
naturally
the
seems
broadest
that way.
subset
Yeah,
of people.
exactly.
It's necessary that it be that way. And which, again, and do whatever you want. You know, do whatever the fuck you want. But then you're not
Also
a game
true.
company anymore. The pretext should be dropped. Just go make pachinko machines. Go be Konami. You know,
Konami.
Konami doesn't bother me, right? Like
Can-
they're not trying to control the future of gaming.
Yeah.
Maybe we should wrap this up, eh, bud?
I think I think that's gonna do it for fucking Tuesday, February the 25th. Is that
So-
what today is?
I guess that's the day that it is, and I guess that's our
I think,
take on
yeah.
our ideas, a suggestion, I suppose, on how to harmonize the production of beautiful things and make
And
money with video games. you know?
Why Microsoft still sucks.
I guess I do feel that way now. It makes me sad, man.
It does.
I really wish that, you know,
I want-
again, like think about the Xbox 360 days.
I
Wasn't
want-
it the perfect paradigm?
I
that I'm
want
describing to you?
Xbox 360 2. That's what I want.
That would be like a Pope Pius the 13th. It would
With-
be like just straightforwardly like a callback, you know?
I want exactly that with Blades 2.0 interface. Bring it on, baby. I want fucking Lost Odyssey 2. I never even played the first.
I want a new Ken
I want
Levine game.
Blue Dragon 2. I want BioShock.
I want a new Ninja
fucking
Theory game.
Whatever.
Not Ninja Theory. Team Ninja, rather.
Team Ninja, yeah.
They already got Ninja Theory.
Right.
Ninja Theory is I always thought they were a fairly interesting studio.
Yeah.
If perhaps not remarkable in the sense of producing like masterpieces. Like they were pretty cool, man. They had cool ideas. They made like Heavenly Sword.
Yeah,
They made
like-
Enslaved Odyssey of the West.
Sort of toeing the line between
Yeah.
really good, but not like.
Yeah, cool concepts.
Yeah.
Though. Like they're cool. Like they exist in this space between AAA, like proper, and like
Yeah.
indie nothingness.
Fair,
you know?
yeah.
And they made Hellblade
Maybe like,
most recently.
Maybe like top end AA. There's too many distinctions.
They're all distinctions of reason. At the end of the day, we can make up as many
that's
as we
fair.
want.
That's true.
They're
You're
made
right.
up. Unlike some things on Earth, they are made up
Mhm.
by the human mind. You know. Thank you very much for tuning in, and please have a good evening. And make sure to spend your money on good video games.
Fuck yeah.